Imagine a day with a beautiful blue sky above towering oak trees and blooming flowers and a butterfly. And under the pine tree and next to the flower garden is a tea and sweets, and they're waiting just for you. And the best part of this dream, you are dressed in a glorious 1870s full Victorian ensemble with all the perfect accessories. Sound like a dream come true? Follow me, Jeanette, here on A Perfect Touch as we turn that dream into a reality. In April, I made some cupcakes with a buttercream frosting. It was a beautiful yellow, and it had tints of mint green leaves, and the colors were just gorgeous. And all I could think of was how beautiful it would be to have a bustle gown that looked like that. So then what I did is I went to the book that has always been an inspiration for me, Harper's Bazaar, 1867 to 1898. And as I started to go through this book, this particular gown caught my eye, and it's dated 1872, August 17th, 1872. And I love the fluff of 1870s, the early bustle period. I've only created one outfit from that period, and I think that it's time that I do that again. So what I always do when I start my projects is I try to get everything together to make sure that I have what I need as far as the design that I have in mind. So the first thing I want to do for this is a Victorian pattern, 401, a blouse waist. I want to make this ensemble a little bit flexible. And so this blouse waist, view B, is the part I like because I like this open neck, and I like having some sort of embellishment around the neck. So that means a lighter weight fabric. I get a lot of my fabrics in the D-Stash groups on Facebook. And of course, right now I'm in my 21st week of being safer at home, and I need everything to just come to me in the mail because I can't get to a store. But this linen is light enough and sheer enough, and it has this embroidery on it, and I fell in love with it right away. This is a piece of trim that I've had in the stash that I think will be beautiful around the neck. And then I found these buttons, also from the D-Stash group, and I've got a ton of them. So I'll be able to use them on this blouse. So this blouse alone just... So once I would get that blouse finished, the next thing I want to do is make a skirt. And I've decided to have something really floofy, and it's going to be the Truly Victorian 216 Parisian trained skirt. I've made this before. It's a beautiful pattern. And the fabric that I want to use, this was exactly the right color, this buttercream yellow, but I wasn't able to afford all of the silk that this was going to take. And sometimes I battle with, do I pay the price for the really excellent fabric, knowing that I'm going to put in so many hours? But in this case, I decided to stay with this. It was from Bangkok Thai Silks online, $3.99 a yard, and I just could not pass that up. And it'll be interlined, but it has a nice structure and drape already, so I really love it. And then the over bodice is going to be the 1872 Carriage Bodice by Truly Victorian, and I love all of this detail here, which I will embellish with, here's my mint green, also found in the D-Stash group, And then just a number of trims that I had in my stash that I can use to outline this bodice. And often I don't have my details done until I get the bodice created and I put it on the mannequin, and then I look and I decide what works the best. So I'm willing to switch in midstream. I have my thread, Joann's online, shipped to me, and I have this brooch that I found a while back. I think it's actually a shoe clip, but I think it would be beautiful on the outside of this bodice. I'm going to make the high neck. Also, for the skirt, we need a lot of embellishment on this skirt. And so one of the things I want to do in this area is make a lattice work, a base for a lot of flowers. I found this in a de-stash group, and I can just see this overlapping, looking like a lattice with flowers on it. At the end of March, I was supposed to have 2 events, and I was so excited about it. And one was at the Biltmore Estate, and a wonderful group of people were flying and driving in. And prior to that, I was taking a class in Japanese silk flowers. But all that was canceled when the virus came to the U.S. And so while I wasn't able to take the class, I did have to get all of my equipment anyway. And so this is all the equipment that I'm going to need to make the Japanese silk flowers, but I'll be learning how to do it on YouTube. So I have all my stamens, and I have a kit to get me started, the glue, and then I put out an in search of in some of the de-stash groups, and ladies found for me just pieces of silk that they had, because a faux silk won't work. So I needed real silk. So I just got these little pieces. I purchased it from these ladies. They mailed it to me. And so this alone will be a big, wonderful project. And then I'm going to embellish that skirt like crazy. Once I get those 3 pieces done, I want a belt with a reticule hanging on it. And it's going to be made out of the faux silk, but I have several things I'm going to do. This is an Intro to Gold Work kit from the Lady Detal on Etsy. She taught this at Costume College one year. Costume College, let's all sigh that it's not happening this year. But next year it will. I'm confident of that. So I'm going to learn gold work from her, from this kit, and then I'm going to learn beetle wing embroidery. I thought I was going to teach myself, but luckily for me, Elizabeth Emerson Designs is going to have a class. I'm signed up for it. It's not scheduled yet, but that's where I'll learn the beadlework. And that belt and the reticule that go with it will have a design on it, and it's going to be something on this order, and it will all attach to and be worn on the outside of the carriage bodice. So I'm excited about that project as well. And every outfit has to have a bonnet, some sort of headwear. So here I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do. I have this brimless hat pattern, which is a little bit earlier than the time frame that I'm doing, but I really love this. And I think that that even looks like the Parisian train skirt, don't you? So this is the brimless hat pattern. And I think that that is just a gorgeous pattern. I love Lynn McMaster's out of a portrait hat patterns. She does a beautiful job in her designs. She has this other one, which is more true to the era, 1870s to 80s. And I do love it. And I love this example that she pulled from Harper's Bazaar right here. But I also love this one. I could see it using a lot of my silk flowers underneath this brim. So here we have a brimless hat. And here we have the one with the brim. And so you can help me with that by posting in the comments and letting me know which one you like. Now, I've been using Truly Victorian patterns. They also have one that is a short crown, mid-century, and I could use that, but I don't own the pattern right now. I would have to get that. But I believe it's available as a download, and download patterns are great for us having to stay home right now. I'll also make a parasol. Truly Victorian has a pattern to recolor a parasol like this. This is simply a $14.99 nylon parasol. It has a length, I believe it's about 32 inches, wood, and this easily comes apart. And I'm going to use the same fabric, the embroidered linen, that I'm using on the blouse. And that will be a gorgeous project. And then, of course, I have to have a fan. I have this kit from Lynn McMaster's again, out of a portrait. This is called Victorian Roses, and she'll send you this. Actually, she is on hold with this right now because she couldn't get fan sticks from a certain supplier, and so she's changing suppliers. But her fan kits are extraordinary, and so this is the one that I'm going to do with these fan sticks that I had gotten from her. I'm going to keep them natural. It has a crystal, it has a rondelle, and it has a hook, and I will use this. This is a size A silk thread that I got on eBay, and I will use that to make the tassel that will go on this. There's the glue I need, and then these are some different colors that you can actually use to highlight areas of the fans that you get from her. And I just got yesterday her newest fan kit, which is going to be a fan like this. I made this in her class at Costume College several years ago, I think it was. And this is how it will open up into this fan shape. But what happens is it actually ends up with two tubes that slide into each other, and when the fan closes, it is only as long as that, which I think is really nice to put in the reticule. So that is quite a project. There are 34 pages of instruction. I just downloaded them from her yesterday. But either of those colors would go really nice with this project. So again, you know, if you have a preference, I can make any of these. I can do the Victorian Roses, or I can do either of her fan, and I can do it in the coral or the green. So let me know. Now I can't have this tea, which I think I'm going to try to have on the last Saturday of summer, which this year will be September 19th, a virtual tea. I'm going to talk about it in the Truly Victorian Sewists group and on my own page, and see if we can get enough people together to have a virtual tea that day, doing a bustle era tea. And if I have a tea, I obviously have to bake something for it. And so I have another kit from Amber Spiegel's Sweet Ams, and this one is a brush embroidery kit, which I haven't done, but she has this beautiful tutorial on how to do this brush embroidery with, let's see if I can get this in here so you can see it. It's edible luster dust, and I think that that's going to be just gorgeous. And if I have cookies, I have to have tea, so I have a teapot cookie cutter. It's from my very woefully failed attempt the first time I tried to make decorated cookies. They were awful. But now that I'm a little more experienced, having done it once, and I'll do these, I'm going to try again to do my cookie cutter. And that's going to be it for this entire project. So as you can see, it's quite a project. I have some decisions to make on it, but I think it's going to be really, really beautiful when it's done. And I hope you follow along on my blog, which is theperfecttouchvictorian.blogspot.com, and I'll write it in the comments here. But also, I'll post some videos of it. I'm just learning how to do that, as you can see. But I think that that's a fun way to follow along and share what I'm doing with others of you who might be home, like me, and have no events to attend, but you still want to have the enjoyment of putting something together for when our events do happen again.